Hello, welcome to Future Fanfic Writer, where we read a fic that one of you guys sent into us. This week is We Are One by The Optimist on Archive of Our Own. We're only doing chapter 1, so if you want to read chapter 2, you'll have to click the link in the description to see it. And this week it has myself, David.
That keeps happening.
I'm Chloe.
And I am Delia.
And we're missing 2 people, so this will be fun.
Yeah, well, this is great.
Okay, let's get in.
Woo!
Virgil trembled under the bright lights of the room. He wasn't sure if it was some effect of Patton's emotions or just his own uneven breathing, but the room was beginning to spin around him as he struggled to get air into his lungs. His fingers were tightly curled into the fabric of his jeans, twitching to hide his face, but he couldn't yet. Not when he was the task manager, not when it was up to him, and he was alone. How could Logan leave him? How could he? To help Thomas and the other side to gain some sense of control. Shakily he leaned forward, trying to slow his breaths to something more manageable, trying to speak over Roman's loud reminiscing. Guys, this isn't helping, he tried, but the others didn't even spare him a glance. Patton, please, you have to think about this. He tried again, reaching out for the side he's always been closest to. Patton frowned at him briefly, but turned away to pick something else up. Thomas, look at me. This isn't working. You'll just feel worse if you keep this up, Thomas. Thomas turned to half face him over the picture frame he was holding. Anxiety, it's fine. Just leave it. We aren't hurting anyone, so butt out, he said, once again focusing his attentions on Patton. Virgil felt something clawing up his throat at the harsh treatment, at his uncontrollable breathing, at the biting way Thomas called him anxiety instead of Virgil. He had one last chance before he lost it. He probably wouldn't even last a minute more if something didn't change right now. His hands wove the way into the drawstrings of his hoodie, fingers gripping at the collar loosely. He would not let his emotions get the better of him. Not this time. Would everyone just stop a minute? He called out, barely above normal speaking volume, but voiced louder under his echoey distortion. The room around him stilled, and all the eyes were on him. Something crawled under his skin at the attention, but he ignored it for the moment. Thank you. I think we should have a discussion about this. A proper discussion, he said, throwing dirty looks at all the sides, though the one Patton received was significantly softer than those given to the other 2. Obviously, no one's happy here.
That's not true, Virgil. We're having a great time, right?
Patton said, glancing at the others for backup. No, he's right, Patton. We should talk about this, rather than ignoring. It'll only hurt worse that way, Thomas said softly, sadly, head drooping in pain.
I agree,
Roman said quietly, and some of the tension in the room relaxed. All of a sudden, as if a switch had been flipped, the colors of the room shifted from their golden hue to a harsh blue and black, lighting the room as if they were far under the sea. A haze of gray fell over the items of nostalgia around the room, obscuring them partially. A chill came over the air, and when Virgil breathed in, he realized the air tasted slightly salty, as if he were under the water. The thought was not comforting, especially considering the sudden change. His heart raced on.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Patton cried out, desperately hiding his face in his hands, pulling his cardigan closer around his shoulders. Thomas looked suddenly pained as Patton sobbed, and Virgil realized he must be feeling his heart breaking all over again. Patton, hey, listen. I know it hurts right now, but you have to listen to me. Virgil tried again, voice still echoey, as he cringed at his terrible attempt to comfort. But at least he was trying. Morality looked up from between his fingers, glasses smushed into his face, and eyes red and puffed under the sheen of his tears. I know you're heartbroken, but you can't keep hiding it just to protect yourself. If you let it fester, you'll end up even worse. You might even end up like me. Nobody wants that, Dad, Virgil assured, but Patton let out a gut-wrenching sob in reply, causing Virgil to flinch back slightly in shock and fear.
But it hurts. He left us, and I don't know what to do. It's so Virgil.
Patton cried, and Thomas and Roman looked visibly pained at the other side's confession. I know, Pat, I know, and it's going to hurt for a while longer. But it won't always hurt like this, I promise.
Hot Topic is right. Patton, trust me. I feel it too. But maybe if we opened up about it some, then maybe we can deal with it better. What do you say?
Roman said, voice soft and soothing on the frayed nerves of everyone in the room. Patton sniffed, rubbing harshly at his face.
I guess, Thomas?
Well, I don't like being sad, but it's certainly much healthier than bottling it all up, Thomas said, nodding slightly in agreement. Virgil let out a small sigh of relief at the nearing solution. I may be anxious about literally everything, but I do have some grounding reality, and I've never lied to you, Patton. One day, maybe not soon, but one day you will be okay again, I promise. Virgil gave him his final push and got a small smile for his efforts.
I trust you,
Patton said at last, still breathless from crying, but odd, not quite as somber as before. The room around them began to lighten up a bit, but not back to its previous golden white, but into a more subtle shade of green and blue.
You've got this, Pat,
Roman said dramatically, voice confidence. Virgil was sure he only felt, but he couldn't help but repeat the sentiment to himself. You sure do, Thomas added, smiling softly at his hair. Virgil rubbed a hand down his face, taking note of his still too fast pulse and off-kilter breathing. Does this mean we can leave now? No offense, Patton, but your room is giving me serious bad vibes.
Yes, we can leave now, kiddo. Thomas?
The sides turned to Thomas and closed his eyes, focusing on bringing them back to the main room. They all appeared with a pop, landing in their usual places, and Virgil took a huge gasp of air. Finally, it felt as if his lungs might start working again, as if the weight had been lifted off his chest. Glancing over, he noticed Logan was still gone and couldn't help the sudden pang in his heart at the sight of his empty place beside his stair.
Thanks, guys. I really needed that. And thank you, Virgil, especially. I love you, kiddo.
Patton said, breaking him out of his thought processes, turned to make eye contact with the other side. A blush overtook his face, but he swallowed his fear for once. I love you too, he replied quietly and waited for the inevitable. After a second of disbelief, a squeal sounded through the air, and Virgil could faintly hear Roman's excited speech over it. Patton's face was still red and covered in tears, but he was smiling, and even if he wasn't back to normal yet, they would certainly get there. Just as Patton cut off, Logan reappeared in the room, face gloomy for all of a second before he noticed the others were also present.
Oh, you've returned.
He asked, voice nonchalant as usual, but anxiety noticed some unfamiliar emotion lurking behind it, carefully hidden from the others' notice. Patton's face lost its cheery look as he and Logan took each other in, and Virgil sighed at the thought of them fighting and upsetting each other again.
Yeah, Virgil helped.
The unsaid after you left was hanging ominously in the air, and Virgil swallowed thickly. He saw Princey shifting uncomfortably from one corner of his eye at the interaction.
I am glad.
There was another awkward pause, almost 30 seconds reaching its end before Thomas opened his mouth to intervene, but Logan got there first.
I'm sorry, Patton. I am truly sorry for the way I treated you. I should not have so brazenly mentioned what you obviously did not want to bring up, and I should not have forced you to let us into your room if you did not want to, and for good reason. I seek your forgiveness, but you need not give it, now or in the future.
Another tense silence followed, this one more charged than the last but shorter also. This time it was Patton who broke it.
I forgive you. I'm sorry as well. I shouldn't have snapped at you, and maybe I should have listened to your advice a bit sooner. I'm sorry.
Patton said, glancing away from Logan's face to stare at his feet.
All is forgiven.
Logan replied softly, and there was smiles all around, even from Virgil. Well, I think that's me done for the day with emotional stuff, Thomas announced, clapping his hands together once. I think I might need to take a nap now. I'll see you guys later. And with that, Thomas was away. Virgil huffed and rolled his eyes and began to sink out as Roman and Patton did the same with their own quiet goodbyes. He slowed his descent, however, when he noticed Logan still stood there, frowning ever so slightly at the floor. Hey, Logan, what's up? Virgil asked, trying to sound like he didn't care, even if he obviously did. Logan looked up sharply, seemingly surprised to find Virgil stood there. He blinked quickly for a few seconds as he got his bearings before his lips pushed into a firm line, and he nodded once.
Nothing is wrong. I should be leaving now also. Goodbye.
And with that, Logan was gone. Virgil frowned at Logic Side's place in the living room. He had a feeling something was still wrong with his fellow side. Still, it had been a long day, and he was tired of being the responsible one. Surely Logan would be alright for another day by himself, right? Okay, and that's the end, guys.
Woo!
And
That
there is
was
a second
really
chapter,
good.
but if you want to read it, you have to click the link.
Yeah, the second chapter is really good, and I really like it, and y'all should read it. Please.
Okay. Well, bye, guys.